A Rose for Emily is a short story by American author William Faulkner, first published on April 30, 1930, in an issue of the Forum. The story takes place in Faulkner's fictional city, Jefferson, Mississippi, in the southern country of Yokapatawpa. It was Faulkner's first short story published in a national magazine. The story is about into the past and tells the story of Emily's life. Emily was raised by a controlling father who drove away all of her suitors, believing that none of them were good enough for his daughter. After her father died, Emily was left a destitute spinster. A rose for Emily is mean that symbolic of his feelings toward the character, primarily that of pity toward the tragedies she has endured in her life. In his own words, Faulkner described the title as an allegory for his feelings towards her. Faulkner described the title, A Rose for Emily, as an allegorical title. This woman had undergone a great tragedy, and for his Faulkner's pitied her. As a salute, he handed her a rose. The word rose in the title was multiple meanings to it. The rose is mean that symbolic of his feelings toward the tragedies she has ended in her life, and symbolizes of emotions like love and friendship. She lives a life of loneliness, left only to dream of the love missing from her life. The rose also represents secrecy. Roses have been portrayed in Greek legends as a gift of secrecy and of confidentiality known as sub rosa, implying that the rose is a symbol of silence between the narrator and Miss Emily, whose secrets the narrator keeps until her death. The characters in A Rose for Emily is Emily Garson, Judge Stevens, Mr. Garson, Homer Baron, and Tob. Emily Garson is the main character of the story. Emily's father kept her from seeing suitors and controlled her social life, keeping her in isolation until his death. When she is 30 years old, her struggle with loss and attachment is the impetus for the plot, driving her to kill Homer Baron, the man that is assumed to have married her. Emily presumably poisoned and killed Homer as she sees murder as the only way to keep Homer with her permanently. Homer Baron, Emily's romantic interest. He is later found dead and decomposed in Emily's bedroom. After her funeral, he, initi- he initially enters the story as a foreman for a road construction project occurring in the town. He is soon seen to be with Emily in her Sunday carriage ride, and it is expected for them to be married. Mr. Garson. Mr. Garson, the father of Emily. He controlled over the personal life of his daughter Emily from romantic involvement. Tob, Emily's cook and gardener, who also acts as her secret keeper. Tubio is a loyal individual to Emily. During the years of Emily's isolation, he provides no details of her life to the townspeople and promptly disappears direct following her death. He became old and stopped from all of his work while Emily grew large and immobile, and it's that all. And the exposition is Emily lives with her dad, a retired war veteran. Soon he dies, leaving her with the house and who taxes to pay. Climax. Homer dies, leaving Emily to fend for herself. Later, she buys rat poison which causes the town to concern themselves that she plans to commit suicide. Rising action. The town members soon trying forcing taxes upon Miss Emily. When they find it doesn't work, they resort to other problems like the smell of her house. Falling action. The town is under the idea that Miss Emily wishes to kill herself. This causes a sense of suspense. Eventually, Emily dies and we are not told how. Resolution. At Emily's funeral, a room was found in her house that was locked for 40 years. Inside the room was the decaying Homer on a bed, and to the pillow with an indentation in the shape and size of a head. On the surface of the pillow was Emily's strand of gray hair. What might have been William Faulkner's purpose in writing A Rose for Emily? Faulkner was interested in exploring several aspects of the human condition, specifically depression, loneliness, the struggle between the individual and the larger society, and the struggle between the South of the Civil War and the rising modern South. Several decades after Civil War, Faulkner Faulkner's intention was in past to explore the destructive effects of repression and to comment upon the power of a selfish father to destroy the future of his daughter whose happiness he had in his hands.